The billionaire mother froze when her 6-year-old daughter suddenly ran across the crowded park, threw both arms around a complete stranger, and called him the one word she had not spoken to any man since losing her father, Daddy. The man was a quiet single father in a faded work jacket, standing beside his own little boy with a paper lunch bag in one hand. But before the mother could pull her daughter away, the man's entire expression changed. His eyes scanned the park, his body shifted between the children and the crowd, and his old military instincts returned with frightening precision. He had once been a Navy SEAL, but he had left that life behind years ago. Now one terrified billionaire mother was about to discover that the ordinary man her daughter trusted had spent his entire life learning how to protect the people he loved. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so our family can continue sharing stories that remind us that sometimes the people who save us are the ones we never expected to meet. Victoria Langford had spent most of her life believing that money could solve almost anything. At 45, she was the founder of a luxury technology company that had grown from a tiny office into an international empire. Her name appeared in magazines, business journals, and charity reports. She owned a magnificent home, traveled with security, and rarely waited for anything she wanted. Yet there was one thing her billions had never been able to buy: the sound of her daughter's laughter. 6-year-old Rosalie had changed after her father died. He had been the warm, patient parent who could turn an ordinary afternoon into an adventure. He built wooden castles with her, took her to the aquarium, and let her stay outside longer than Victoria considered reasonable. When he died unexpectedly, Rosalie seemed to lose a piece of herself. She became quiet. She stopped asking questions. She stopped calling anyone by affectionate names. Most painfully, she stopped saying the word Daddy. At first Victoria believed it was simply grief. Then months became years. Rosalie still remembered her father. She kept his old photographs in a small box beneath her bed. She sometimes traced her finger across his face in those pictures, but whenever Victoria mentioned him, Rosalie became silent. Victoria responded the only way she knew how. She tried to fix everything. She hired therapists, child psychologists, private tutors, and specialists. She created a carefully protected environment around Rosalie. Security guards accompanied them everywhere. Staff members watched over the child whenever Victoria had meetings. Every possible danger was anticipated and eliminated. But Rosalie did not become happier. She became more isolated. Victoria could not understand why. Then, one bright afternoon, she took Rosalie to a public park. It was something she rarely did. The park was filled with families, children, bicycles, dogs, and people enjoying the warm weather. Victoria's security team stayed nearby, but she had promised herself she would give Rosalie some freedom. Rosalie sat beneath a large tree holding a stuffed fox. Across the playground, a boy around her age was flying a small paper airplane. His name was Finn Mercer. Finn was the son of Callum Mercer, a 41-year-old maintenance worker who had brought him to the park after finishing a morning shift. Callum was not wealthy. He lived in a modest apartment, drove an old vehicle, and worked long hours. He was also a single father. His wife had left several years earlier, and Callum had become the person responsible for every school morning, every doctor's appointment, every scraped knee, and every difficult conversation. He never complained about it. He considered fatherhood a privilege. What nobody in the park knew was that Callum had once been a Navy SEAL. His military career had been demanding and dangerous. He had served overseas, endured years of intense training, and experienced situations that had permanently changed the way he viewed danger. His body carried old scars, and his mind still remembered things he rarely discussed. But after leaving the military, Callum wanted nothing to do with fame. He did not want medals displayed on walls. He did not want people calling him a hero. He wanted to be a father. That was why he chose a simple maintenance job instead of lucrative security contracts. The job paid less, but it gave him predictable hours. It gave him Finn. And to Callum, that was worth more than money. Rosalie noticed Finn's paper airplane. She watched it glide across the grass. Finn eventually brought it near her. Callum noticed the little girl but did not approach. He had learned long ago that children who were frightened by strangers needed space. Instead, he helped Finn fold another airplane. Rosalie watched. After several minutes, she slowly stood and walked toward them. Victoria watched from a bench. She felt nervous. Rosalie almost never approached unfamiliar people. But Callum did not make a big deal out of it. He simply showed Rosalie how to fold the paper along the crease. Rosalie smiled. Victoria stared. She could not remember the last time her daughter had willingly interacted with a stranger. For nearly an hour, Rosalie played with Finn. Callum remained nearby. He did not ask about her family. He did not ask why she was quiet. He did not treat her like the daughter of a billionaire. He treated her like a child. That was exactly what Rosalie needed. Then something unexpected happened. A little boy accidentally kicked a ball toward Rosalie. The ball struck the ground beside her, startling her. Rosalie stumbled backward. Callum immediately noticed. He moved toward her, but stopped before touching her. He lowered himself to her eye level and gave her time to regain her balance. Rosalie looked at him. He looked toward Victoria with concern rather than defensiveness. He did not encourage the child to repeat the word. He did not take advantage of her grief. He simply stepped back. Then his instincts returned. A man near the playground had been watching them. Callum noticed. His posture changed almost imperceptibly. He moved Finn and Rosalie behind him. His eyes tracked the stranger's hands, then his distance from the children, then the surrounding exits. Victoria noticed the transformation. The gentle father disappeared. A highly trained professional emerged. Callum calmly guided the children toward a more populated area. He told Victoria through quiet gestures that something felt wrong. Victoria's security team finally noticed the situation. The suspicious man left the park. It turned out that he had been trying to approach several families to solicit money, and security later confirmed that he had previously caused disturbances in another nearby park. Nothing terrible had happened. But Callum's reaction frightened Victoria. She asked him how he had noticed the man so quickly. Callum hesitated. Then he finally told her the truth. He had been a Navy SEAL. Victoria stared at him. She recognized the name. Her company's security director had once mentioned Callum during a contractor review. He had served honorably and had a remarkable operational record. But he had never told anyone. Victoria could not understand why a man with such experience was working maintenance. Callum explained that after leaving the military, he had wanted a quiet life. His son had been young, and Callum realized that he had spent enough years putting himself in danger for others. He wanted to be there for one person who depended entirely on him. Finn. Victoria looked at Rosalie. Her daughter was still holding Callum's hand. She finally understood that Rosalie had not called him daddy because she believed he was her biological father. She had called him daddy because he had made her feel safe. That realization was painful. Victoria had spent years giving Rosalie everything money could buy. But she had forgotten something far simpler. Children did not always need someone to remove every danger. Sometimes they needed someone who would simply stand beside them when they were afraid. The friendship continued. Victoria initially remained cautious. Callum respected her boundaries. He never encouraged Rosalie to call him daddy again. Whenever she did, he gently redirected her toward his actual name. But Rosalie gradually began talking more. She told Callum about school. She showed him drawings. She played with Finn. She began asking questions about the world. And Victoria watched something extraordinary happen. Her daughter was healing. Not because Callum had some magical ability. Not because he was a former SEAL. Because he treated Rosalie with patience. He never demanded that she forget her father. He never tried to become her father. He simply allowed her to remember that another adult could be trustworthy. Victoria began changing too. She stopped arranging every second of Rosalie's life. She allowed her daughter to choose activities. She stopped answering questions on her behalf. She listened. For the first time, she discovered how much her daughter had been trying to tell her. One afternoon, Rosalie finally asked Victoria a question she had avoided for years. She wanted to know whether her father had loved her. Victoria broke down. She had been afraid that talking about him would make Rosalie sad. Instead, she realized that silence had made the grief larger. Victoria told her daughter everything she could remember. The silly things. The beautiful things. The mistakes. The memories. Rosalie cried. Victoria cried with her. And for the first time, mother and daughter mourned together instead of separately. Callum never interrupted those moments. He simply remained a friend. Then came another unexpected turning point. Callum's son Finn became seriously frightened during a school emergency drill. The loud alarms triggered memories from his father's military stories, and he struggled to understand why his father sometimes reacted so strongly to sudden sounds. Callum realized that his own unresolved experiences were affecting his son. For years, he had believed that staying silent protected Finn. Now he understood that children could sense what adults refused to explain. With help from a counselor, Callum began addressing his own past. He learned that being strong did not mean pretending nothing hurt. Victoria supported him. Their relationship slowly became deeper, but neither rushed it. There was no dramatic romance. There was something more meaningful. Trust. Two wounded parents had learned how differently they had been protecting their children. Victoria had built walls. Callum had built calm. Both had been trying to keep their children safe. Now they were learning how to let their children live. Months later, Victoria established a foundation program supporting single parents and children dealing with grief. Callum helped design the family support side of the program. He insisted that the program focus on practical help rather than publicity. Childcare. Counseling. Emergency financial assistance. Community activities. Veteran support. Victoria agreed. The foundation became one of the most important projects of her life. But the greatest change happened inside their family. Rosalie began speaking more confidently. She still missed her father. She always would. But she no longer felt that loving a new trusted adult meant betraying the father she had lost. One sunny afternoon, years after that first meeting, Rosalie sat at a picnic table with Finn while Callum prepared sandwiches. Victoria watched from nearby. Rosalie looked at Callum and smiled. This time, when she called him by his name, there was no confusion. There was gratitude. Callum smiled back. Victoria understood that healing had never meant replacing the past. It meant making room for the future. She walked over and sat beside them. For the first time in years, she did not check her phone. She did not look at the clock. She did not worry about her next meeting. She simply sat with the people she loved. Callum's old SEAL instincts were still there. He still noticed exits. He still watched crowds. He still carried a small first aid kit. But he no longer lived as though danger was waiting around every corner. He had learned to protect without controlling. Victoria had learned the same lesson. And Rosalie had learned something even more important. She was allowed to love people without fear of losing them. Before we reach the ending, leave a meaningful comment and tell us what this story means to you. Do you think true protection means keeping someone away from the world, or giving them the courage to face it? Tell us which moment touched your heart most, because someone reading your comment today may be struggling with grief, fear, or the difficult decision to let someone they love grow. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Because Victoria once believed that being a good mother meant building the strongest walls money could create. Then her daughter ran to a stranger and called him Daddy. For a moment, Victoria thought she had lost something. Instead, she discovered something she had been missing all along. Her daughter did not need a billionaire mother who could control every danger. She needed a mother who could trust her. Callum did not save Rosalie by using his Navy SEAL training. He saved a small part of her heart by being patient when she was afraid. And perhaps that was the greatest lesson of all. The strongest people are not always the ones who can defeat danger. Sometimes they are the ones who know when to step forward, when to step back, and when to simply sit beside someone until they feel safe again. Callum had once been trained to protect lives in the most dangerous places imaginable. But his greatest victory was much quieter. It was watching his son grow up. It was seeing Rosalie find her voice. It was helping Victoria understand that love cannot be built from fear. And it was learning that after years of surviving, he was finally allowed to live. On that bright afternoon, Victoria looked at her daughter laughing beside Finn and realized something that billions had never taught her. A family is not defined only by blood. Sometimes it is built by patience. Sometimes by forgiveness. Sometimes by an unexpected stranger who arrives at exactly the moment someone needs hope. And sometimes the person you thought was simply passing through your life turns out to be the person who quietly helps you find your way home.